Yeah.
All straight men,
Yeah.
virtually all straight men that are as straight as you can get have fantasized like, dude, if I could be a girl for a day, that'd be pretty cool. Dude, I'd go ride some monster dick. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah.
What's up, bros? What's up, guys? My name is Edward with Chad Media, and this is The Mortal Man.
I'm one of these guys that, one of these people rather, that has a hard time learning things not through pain.
Yeah.
So, like, I have to push the boundaries of like what I can get away with.
What
But
are you on about?
so like, um,
I'm gonna need the lesson you learned. That way I can judge you
yeah,
proficiently.
yeah. So uh, what do I? How do I start? Well, so right. So I run a business, and my customers send me checks in the mail that I need to cash, log, and that's it. I need to cash them and log them.
And that's all.
That's all I need to do, right?
Okay.
But I end up waiting until the last minute on the 30th every month to cash them, and sometimes I forget to log them. So now, for 2 months in a row, my bookkeeper has sent out the coming month's bill and a unpaid late notice for the previous month's bill that they did pay to all of my check paying
Oh
customers.
no. So were they like super worried?
No, I've only gotten a call from one, and he was
Okay.
pissed. But he was
Oh,
he, he is a nice guy, so
mhm.
he was somewhat understandable. And I think his emotions were going to be somewhat elevated because I just sent him a $2,000 bill, which is literally 10 times the normal bill, for some
After that, because
for some extra work that was done. Um, but I think also his emotions were somewhat ameliorated because I I told him that I wasn't in a rush to be paid, and that because I trust these guys, they've always paid, so I'm
yeah,
like, I know you'll pay, just like I'm not in a rush. You guys don't need to like break the bank. It's really funny because you have these people that live in $1 million houses in suburbia and are driving BMWs,
they're like,
but
hold on,
but
I'll
when
get your money to you. I swear.
I send them a $2,000 bill, and they're like, "Can we pay this in like payments? Can we like split this up?" I'm like, bruh, what the fuck? I literally
Listen, dude.
I literally bought a $16,000 truck, like the most efficient, cheapest thing I could get, and I paid for it in cash.
They're gonna
Like
think you have the cash
I
for the
don't
mom.
make very much. But then again, I am I then again I am a bachelor. I'm not over here buying like Louis Vuitton bags for my girl or whatever. And I don't have to buy like diapers and stuff as of now. I'm sure that stuff gets expensive. I don't know. I just like a lot of people just live on the edge, bro. They're like, oh, maxing out what they can afford, you know?
And then they can't afford the pool service, and you have to call them off.
Yeah,
The
it's wild.
enforcers.
Yeah, but
I actually have something
they're really
similar.
nice people. I mean, you
I have
run you.
something similar, but
What
I
do you
don't
mean?
learn lessons. Like
Oh, you have
every
difficulty
time
learning lessons. Yeah.
but like I learn like through hardship, but like
Mm-hmm.
it's just really hard sometimes. I didn't get paid for like a full month, and I had like $1,000 to go on, which isn't bad, right? But like I didn't want it to dip below 1,000 like that, and so I just lived on like $400. for like a full month.
Oof.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. It was just
Yeah.
like I couldn't do a lot of like the funner things that I wanted.
Yeah.
Like I didn't drive like anywhere
Yeah.
because I couldn't. It was right after our trip to the mountain, right?
Yeah.
So I just spent all that money and like I was like I'll get paid. And then I didn't get paid. And then I didn't get paid again. And I was like, oh, that's really bad. And it was because I didn't turn in my timesheets correctly. And so they skipped
Mm-hmm.
like the second week. And so I just had to
Oh
wait
my
4
God,
full
man.
weeks. It
Right?
was a really good check, but like, fuck, it hurt
Yeah.
so bad. And I had just
Like
made that same
just
mistake.
because you were too lazy to do what needed to be done. You were like, I'll put it off.
I had just made the same mistake a full month ago,
Oh
like
my
the month
God.
previously, but it
Yeah.
wasn't the same. It wasn't the same like weight because
Yeah.
I had already spent saving money, and we didn't have the trip that month, so like I wasn't hurting, I wasn't jonesing for cash,
Yeah.
but fucking that and I got paid for 1 week, and the next check I got paid for 3 weeks, but then the next month I didn't get paid at all, and then I got paid for 4 weeks. Sorry if that's a bit confusing, but
Yeah.
basically, Remitter sucks at paying.
Let me tell you this. When you're telling a story, try to stay away from logistical shit.
Don't talk about weeks.
My brain just goes, dude. And
That's your brain's
most
fault.
people are gonna do the same. No, dude,
Just
when
pay
you're like,
attention. It's
bro,
their fault.
I
It's their
did,
fault.
I did,
Like it's
I had to drive 13 miles to the job. Can you believe that? It was 13 miles, bro. And
it was 13 miles.
it took me like 45 minutes with traffic. Can you believe 45 minutes, bro? Can you believe that? It's like, shut the fuck up. Tell me a good story. Jesus. That's horrible.
Wow, you telling me my
You
story wasn't very great. I'll understand.
No, it was real. It was it was good in relation to to the the convo. I'm just saying like, it's just it's a learning experience like we're talking about. I think if you're telling a story to anybody, it's good to know that logisticals are really boring, typically speaking. So if you do want to bore someone, just fill it with logistics.
Start talking about numbers. All of them.
Especially
All of them.
if you want someone to that will if you want someone to do whatever they can to get rid of you, tell a
I actually
really
have.
long logistical story. If somebody's
I
like
have a.
calling you, they're like, "Oh, you owe us money." You're like, "Dude, I broke my leg in three places. After I was running for like 6 miles, dude. Like, have you ever ran 6 miles before? Usually I only run 3 miles. Sometimes I run 4, but usually only 3. And this time I was running 6. I was really pushing the boundary of like what
Dude, I'm
I
falling
usually
asleep.
do. you know, exactly. Yeah.
I
So.
actually have a note in my phone with a whole lot of like fun facts, but I know they're not very fun. Like the temperature of the sun, right?
Hmm.
It's just in the note. The degree at which bones start burning, that's in the note.
Hmm.
Like they're interesting facts, but only to like some. And if I bring it up to like my mom or whatever, she instantly zones out.
Yeah.
Ends every conversation I've ever had.
Yeah. That's a good way to put a giant spike in the gears of a conversation. If you're like, hey, did you know that hippos' dicks are smaller than their ears? It's
Never
like,
talking to you again.
yeah,
That's it.
I guess. Hey, did you know that cell phones use electrical signals to communicate? All right,
They're
man.
just gonna look at you like you're stupid at that point.
You know what I mean? Like, just like some fact. It's like it's kind of cool, or like, oh, here's a great one. Oh, did you know like decibels are multiplicative, like the sound measurement. So if a pencil tip vibrated with 100 decibels or 1,000 decibels, it could blow up a city. Yeah, who gives a fuck, dude? Like, who asked? No one. No one. But
Damn.
yeah, man. Oh, let me say this about, my customer just called me and he's like, this is ridiculous, man. Uh, I was like, yeah, dude. I know. I get it. I would hate it if I was in your position. I said, sorry about it. We'll get it fixed up. It is stupid. And the thing that floats through my mind as this happens is that, a lot of people will experience something like this and they'll go, God dang, I'm a fuck up. I'm such a fuck up. God, I ruined everything I'm ever involved in. Dang it, I keep making these mistakes. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I should just quit. I should just stop doing whatever I'm doing. I need to go back to having a boss. I need, or whatever it is. I need to go back to living with my parents, or I need to go back to the underworld. I need to fucking, you know. And you got to realize that, yeah, you did make a mistake. You do have to learn. You are an idiot, right? Because we all are. But at the same time, you're the person that has the capability to become better and to master your own stupidity. So you can do both at the same time. You need to be a cocky, humble boy. Does that make sense?
I mean, it kind of does. I
Like,
mean,
like, dang, that is a fuck up, but I'm gonna fix the shit out of it.
yeah, that's good context.
Yeah, that's the proper response. Not, you don't want to go like all the way to, dang, I'm such a fuck up, and I'm worthless. I always mess up,
Hmm.
which is not true. None of those things are ever true, virtually. Or you don't want to go to the other way of like, fuck him, like, oh,
I
like,
don't care.
like it's not that important. Like they can figure it out. Like, whatever, dude. It's not important. Like,
I find that I'm on the,
you
the
have
the
to.
latter side a lot of the time. Like it's not that I don't take responsibility for mistakes, but I brush them off real easy.
Yeah,
Like I don't know, you know.
yeah. You gotta find the middle path. That's what all the philosophers, all the sages, all the religious men, all the preachers, well, I don't want to use the word preachers. That has a modern context that's kind of gross. But that's what all the wise men throughout all of history have spoken about. That's the middle way, and that's being able to see both sides of a situation at the same time and go right through, right into the bullseye. So that's being cocky and humble at the same time, because you should be cocky and humble at the same time. That's the proper way of being. That sounds really humble, doesn't it?
I mean, I don't know that it sounds humble, but it sounds like you know what you're talking. I'm
Oh
really
man.
enjoying the coffee shop,
Oh yeah,
just the
there are hot
local
chicks there?
Starbucks. I don't necessarily think that they're hot chicks there, but I
Yeah.
definitely made my first friend here in the new place.
Oh nice. Yeah, I need
Yeah,
to I need to start going again.
I went over there at two, maybe three, and
Hmm.
one of the guys is going to college around here, and of course it was a guy that wanted to talk. So like,
Hmm.
came up, said hi, asked what I was doing, and stuff. I don't know. It's just nice to talk to people and make one friend at least.
Yeah,
I'll see him again.
that's good. Yeah, it's I think making friends is hard, but making acquaintances is really easy.
Okay, you're right. You're right. It's more of an acquaintance, right?
Right.
But like, it's buildable upon, you know.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like for someone to be your friend, they have to be an acquaintance first.
Hmm.
But
He's
yeah. Yeah,
the dude I talked to is going into like electrical engineering, so like we have some similarities
hmm.
already. I barely know the guy.
Nice.
Shit, I can't remember his name. I'm
Dude,
so
there's this the coffee shop I like to go to regularly. There's this guy that dresses up as a girl and wants people to refer to him as such.
Mm.
And it's interesting for me because, you know, I interact with the guy a fair amount, which beforehand, I don't think I'd ever interacted with a trans person.
Mm.
And I didn't like think too. No, I did think somewhat about like how I should conduct myself because we are talking about an enigma,
Yes.
you know. So I did think about like how should I conduct myself around this person to just in the best way possible, you know what I mean? And that would include, you know, social cohesion, peace, and uh like self uh uh genuineness,
Okay.
right?
So like that way you're not like lying like, straight up
Yeah,
to him.
don't want to be a liar. And so what I came to, and I'm telling the story because it might be helpful to you or anybody else, because it's seems to me to be a good way to go about it. I'm sure a lot of people would be pissed if they heard this, but anyway, uh, this guy is always has always been very nice to me,
Mhm.
and usually when I interact with females, I'm not saying
Mhm.
this is good. I don't know, but I usually refer to them as ma'am because to me that's a sign of respect. Like a lot of people think that like it's like an old thing,
Yeah, people have gotten
and
offended,
so
but
I have had women tell me don't call me that, but that's happened once or twice, and it's always been chill. It's always been
my,
cool.
yeah,
They're like,
like
"Hey, I'm not old. Don't call me ma'am." Like,
yeah,
okay,
my boss does that. She's
that's
like
fine.
30 something, you
Yeah,
know. It's like,
yeah. But like men very much appreciate it when I call them sir. Typically speaking, I don't think I've ever
mhm.
had. None of them have ever said anything, at least.
Yeah.
Um, so there's that. But anyway, so I refer to females as ma'am, typically speaking, unless I know their name. But even then, just thank you, ma'am. That's part of my standard, you know, speaking habits. But your video went away. Not that not that we need it necessarily. Keep that off. So anyway, to get to the point is that I don't refer to him as anything. I just say thank you, and that's it. And
Yeah.
I watch my language. I don't refer to him as masculine or feminine. I say thank you, and I don't engage. I don't initiate conversation. I I I don't ignore him outright. Right? If he says something to me, I'll respond. I'll have a conversation. But I
Yep.
don't like the other folks there are all very nice people, all of them. It's a very different world from where I grew up.
Yeah.
They're all very nice. And so, you know, I'll ask him about, you know, how's life been? You know, oh, you're wearing a new piece of jewelry. What's up with that? Like, oh, your boyfriend got that for you. Okay, that's cool. How long have y'all been together? You know, I'll have these
Mhm.
conversations with these people. But with this dude, I just ignore him. You know, he's talked to me like, oh, hey, you know, how's he, like, you know, puts on this like fake feminine voice like, how's business or whatever, or like it's kind of like you know, brought up a little bit like this, I guess. So how's business for you? Like, pretty good, pretty good. And I'll, you know, just kind of leave it at that. And
Mhm.
I say it's very subtle, And I think that this guy resents me for this at this point because he's noticed that most of the other people that work there are females. And I always say thank you, ma'am. But for him, I just say thank you. I don't say thank you, sir,
Yeah.
but I just say thank you. And so the reason for this is so that I'm not causing trouble, you know. I'm not starting a fight and getting kicked out and all this shit. I'm doing nothing explicitly objectionable. However, I am still not complicit in any lie. And I think that's what the Russians did, actually. Some of them in late Soviet Russia, they got together and they said, we're not going to say anything that is anti-communist, because then we'll get killed. But we will not engage with anything pro-communist. To have a silent, unobjectionable protest, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think that's a useful strategy to kind of find the middle of not engaging in the falsehood and also not, engaging in a battle with it, because that's violence, and violence has consequences. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I have an interesting conundrum, right?
Yeah.
Currently going on with one of my friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got like 3, maybe 4, like gay friends, right? And I'm totally cool with it. I love them to death, all of them. Like,
Yeah. No. The thing.
hold on.
Let me say this really
Hold-
quick. Really quick.
Okay.
Here's my finger. Is that there's a vast difference between the gay movement and the trans movement. There's a vast difference. They're actually the opposite from each other, and I'll tell you why. The gay movement is about truth. Because they said, hey, we're already gay. We're literally sucking dick. We're sucking dick over here, and we're just gonna let y'all know that that's what we're doing, and
Mhm.
we shouldn't be persecuted for it. And it's like, okay,
Mhm.
fair enough. But the
Yeah.
trans movement is the complete opposite, because these girls don't have pussies. They can't have kids. It's the complete opposite. It's
Mhm.
so yeah. Please continue.
So this is gonna get a little hairier. One of my gay friends is thinking about transitioning, and
Mm-hmm.
I am honestly not against it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a very personal decision, and I think that you should think it through for sure, because you're mutilating yourself, right?
Yep.
You're
I mean,
changing your
well, it depends
whole.
on what precisely they're doing, but
Yeah, but I haven't talked to him much.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not gonna
But
mention
often the
anything.
case, yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure that he's going to be safe with it, and that's the only thing I truly care about with this like thing is that he is sure. That's, and I don't even know that he's actually transitioning. He's just been talking about feeling more feminine recently. That's
Mm-hmm.
been the main thing, and I was like, hey man, you just think it through. You.
Yeah, I mean, I think what a person in that situation, what I would tell them if they were my friend. I mean, obviously, I'm not in that situation, so I can't say for sure. But this is what I would like to say, and that is, go dress up as a girl. Oh, act it out. Go buy a dress, go buy some lingerie, put it all on, and dance around in your room like you're a girl, and and act it out. Pretend,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Be aware that you are a male human, but go pretend to be a woman. Do it. That's
Mm-hmm.
fine. Just know that Just because you're feeling feminine does not mean you need to alter your body to try to become one. Because A, it's not going to work, at least not with the technology we have right now. It probably never will, because our bodies are different in every conceivable way. Every way that matters. And B, if gender truly is a fluid thing that has no real nature to it, no real boundaries, why do you need to change your physicality? You're the one that's saying it's not real. So if it's not real, why do you have to physically alter your body? If the categories of male and female are not real, how can you be born as one inside of the body of another if they're not real? So that doesn't mean you can't go dress up as a girl. Do it. Men have been dressing up as girls forever.
Yeah.
It's very common throughout human history, especially in highly civilized cultures. Highly civilized as in very like wealthy, right?
Mm.
So, I mean, you know, especially if you're an open person, which gay people often are.
Yeah, for sure.
Like experiment with your personality, you know, play. I think honestly that's one of the things our culture is missing a lot is real play. You know, I think like a lot of boys like play at being girls. So do girls. We play at being the other sex, especially when we're children all the time. The problem is that often we feel like too embarrassed to play in that way, or our parents are really like afraid of it, and so they shut it all down. They don't allow you to play that game. And then since that draw is there, you want to play at it. What male has never dreamt of waking up as a female for a day?
Yeah.
All straight men,
Yeah.
virtually all straight men that are as straight as you can get have fantasized like, dude, if I could be a girl for a day, that'd be pretty cool. I'd be playing with my titties and masturbating all the time. Dude, I'd go ride some monster dick. I'm telling you that right now. Like, I'm not trying to do that as a man. I'm not interested in that. But if I was a female, I would very much like to experience that. But I'm not a female. So, like, it doesn't matter. But I can fantasize about it. I can play with it in the realm of fantasy and then let it go. It's not a big deal. Like, I don't actively fantasize about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's living it out, and then like once you've gone through that fantasy, you let it go. It's the same thing like if you have like violent fantasies or something.
I have way more violent fantasies.
If you like fantasize about killing your boss or something, like in my experience. Okay, I'm not advocating for this because we're getting into dangerous territory, but in my experience, when I've had a lot of rage and an inclination for something, I can fantasize about it, and then it's gone. I can let it go. You know, I have visually, viscerally fantasized about killing people.
Right? Yeah, dude, I can relate to that.
Like with you know, detailed imagination and like visualization. But like once I did, the story was told. And I was like, okay, I'm good. Not only do I don't have to go there, but I don't want to, because that's horrific, right? And so and I think there's value in going to that place and knowing what that place is like, so you don't need to go there. So because you can really go places in your imagination. That's one of the things that is incredible about being a human being, is how powerful your imagination is and how much of a tool it is. But our culture has pushed down on imagination to too much of a degree, because we've had a very conservative culture that's very like afraid of it. It's a kind of the Judeo-Christian lineage. It's one of the bad things, I think. Like most of it's like there's things in it that are so good that like we should be thankful every day for the lineage of the Judeo-Christian like societies and belief structures. But the pagans knew how to imagine and knew how to play. And we've left that behind. We've gained great power by leaving that behind, but if we're going to survive, we have to regain it. And so the point I'm getting at is in theater, when I was in high school, I like at one point, I was around all the girls and we found this dress and they were like, "Ooh, I bet that would fit you, Eddie. I bet that'd look good on you. Oh my gosh." And I was like, "All right, bitch, I'll put this shit on." And I put on this white like wedding gown, and they put makeup on me, and I had long hair at the time, and like they took photos of me where I was doing this pose like this, I was looking all feminine, and it was fun. It was fun play. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was funny. Not only was it funny, but it was just fun. And you have to think about, what is fun? Why is something fun? Typically speaking, something is fun because you are learning, not only mentally but physically, learning about something you're interested in. So I was learning about being a girl by pretending to be one, which allows you to understand them better.
Mm.
And
I
so
actually
that's great. I think we need to do that. I think what happens is we oppress it. We're like, "Oh, it's not cool to play, to pretend," and then what happens is, like, people feel this need to live out this fantasy, and then the only place that actively does it and actively talks about it and is welcoming to it is the like internet trans community, the cultish one, because like obviously not all trans people are within, like, air quotes, the trans community, but I'm specifically speaking of the cult that refers to detransitioners as insane, which is that's insane. But they join. It's a slow process. Like a boy will like start, like, he'll put like a hairband in his hair or something, right? Something that's like slightly feminine, and then like all the people on TikTok will comment and be like, "Oh my gosh, like, oh, you look so good." Like, it's this cycle of like telling people that they're better as the opposite gender.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only avenue they have. And so then boom, a year later they're like getting surgeries to like continue this process of like affirmation, because we're human beings and we need meaning. We need a goal to work towards. And that's what this cult is doing. It's giving you a goal. It's like, man, once I become this, once I cut my tits off, once I take enough hormones and I tell everyone that this is my new name, then like everything will be okay at that point. Like, everybody has things like that. Everybody has their promised land, their goal. But it has to be something realistic that's actually going to be helpful. This shit is not helpful.
Agreed. I mean, I think it has to do with attention, but like that's just like a personal belief of mine. I think that like if people don't get attention on a regular basis and they like do something like towards like geared towards like transitioning, they start getting attention. And it's like,
Absolutely.
oh man, I liked that a lot. And so like it just
Absolutely,
like kind
dude.
of diverges.
Attention is an incredible drug. You're absolutely right about that. I mean, there's nothing more valuable for a child, for example, and probably for, I mean, for especially today for most humans, because I mean, partly because I think we're more
It,
childlike today than we've ever been as
I
adults.
think it's actually
But
harder to come by attention nowadays. Like we're all like so
that
if
makes
you're at
sense actually. I didn't.
yeah, like
Wow, I never
you're
thought
just
about that.
we're all the time on our phones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not saying it's a bad thing necessarily, but like you
yeah.
hardly give the waitress or the
You're
waiter
right.
attention,
Yeah, instead of paying attention
Like
to each other, we're all paying attention to like the top 1% of people all the time.
yeah. So it's just
Yeah,
I think it's just a harder
dang.
thing to come by.
Wow.
So I
That
know that I
is
don't fucking get
interesting.
any attention.
Yeah. That is real interesting. I never considered that. Wow.
I'm glad I could help with my deep.
I'm like stunned. I have to think about this because I believe I've told you this before, and anybody that's a Peterson fan will recognize this. But if you take chimps, like
Mhm.
average level, or maybe just chimps in general,
I hate
they
chips.
they will,
Separate topic.
and you offer them photos of other chimps. And one subset of photos is of high value chimps high up on the troop hierarchy. And the other subset is of bottom level chimps. And you offer these two subsets. The chimp will work to spend time looking at photos of high value chimps.
Crazy.
He will work to look at them. Just to look, that's it. And but to get them to look at photos of low value chimps, you have to pay them. They won't do it otherwise.
Man.
And we're remarkably like chimps. So that's something to really think about. So now we all have these portals to media and other people constantly.
Mhm.
And so now we're all paying attention to the top 1% of people constantly.
Yeah,
The richest,
dude.
most beautiful people all the time. And we're not paying attention to each other.
So
So that's
another
got to
point I want to.
massively dysregulate everyone's emotions all the time.
So I want to my standards in women have risen so sharply. Like this is like just pure looks, right? Like, and I want to try and fix it, but like I don't know how. Like I
Man, that's
know
interesting.
my friend Bach has pointed out so many times. I get on Tinder and I get on like Bumble, and I just swipe no constantly.
Hmm.
Like I swipe right like 1 out of like 25 maybe, and
Yeah.
like I know it's a problem, but like I can't like do anything really about it that I know of, right? I'm like I can't help myself
Well,
because like
so
it's what I'm finding attractive, right?
yeah.
And like I don't know how to rewire that in my head, right? Like for
Hmm.
nicotine, I can just stop smoking for a while and do boom, I'm free. But like
Hmm.
I don't know how to see people in a better light. Put it nicely.
Right. So a couple thoughts come to mind, and the first one is pornography.
Absolutely.
We're all like
Yeah.
so many of most of us, really most of us, are having virtual sex with the hottest women on the planet all the time.
Yeah.
It's just like that's the way it is. And so our sex drives are like, that is what I want. I want her. These super hot chicks.
Hmm.
And all of the suboptimal chicks get left out. It's like she's all right,
Yeah.
and
And
Th- that
for
that's just rough. So I think one thing that a guy could likely do is cut off his pornography addiction. Most of us are straight up addicted,
yeah. Uh,
and
I find even like
it's gonna
my
be like
standards
smoking in the
there
future,
too
dude.
high.
In the future, it's gonna be like smoking. Like we're gonna be like, wait, everybody used to do this? We're gonna be like, oh yeah,
I don't know. I don't think we'll do it in public places and get cancer because of it. But like,
You know what I mean?
I don't know. Like, I think pornography's been around for so long. I know smoking has as well, but like smoking's not going away. It's just changing.
No, it's totally different. So
It's totally different. You're still putting chemicals in your mind to make you relax. That's the whole point
no,
of
I
smoking.
know. No, I know. It's not necessarily relax, but I mean, like, especially the porn is totally different. I know, I get what you're saying about smoking and nicotine, but it is different. Like, for a while there, like, now you're right, like, nicotine use is on the rise, and that's because of vapes. Because the big thing with smoking, with any sort of tobacco use, whether it be cigarettes, cigars, dip, is that it was gross. It smelled bad. It obviously like changed your body. You got like yellow teeth, made your skin worse. Really fucks up your teeth. All this stuff. Cigars are less so, but that's probably because people that smoke cigars aren't smoking them constantly.
Yeah, it's like a cigar after work, not 8 during work.
Yeah, exactly. But so that's a big motivation, right? Part of the motivation to not do something is its grossness. So that's part of the reason why pornography is so addictive, because you know there's no evidence.
Yeah,
There's
you do it by yourself,
there's
and
no
like
evidence. But like if you're a smoker, you have to walk around and know that everyone is looking at you going, "Oh wow, they smoke cigarettes." Eesh. But
yikes.
now with vapes, they smell good. Boom.
I don't.
Now
Yeah,
everybody's doing it. That's it. That's all you had to do. They smell good. Now
and
everybody does it.
supposedly there's less cancer in them, right? But like
Probably.
still,
I,
it's new, right?
yeah. Yeah, I mean the thing is you're still like, especially if you're using like one of these reusable ones, or anything that has a high nicotine content. If you're getting addicted to a high level of nicotine, you're still radically increasing your risk of heart disease, because nicotine is a vasoconstrictor.
Hmm.
So regardless of anything else, regardless of additional chemicals in the vape, regardless of how damaging the flavors, whatever it is. I mean, I'll tell you right now, it hurts my throat. You have these people that are like, oh no, it's totally fine. It's like completely not harmful at all. These people are liars. Like, they are fucking liars, dude.
I think
I
they
don't
probably
understand.
just got used to it.
I Yeah, but even if you got used to it, you had to go through the process of experiencing it first.
Maybe they've forgotten, like because I completely
Bro.
understand. I hardly ever could hit a vape before, so I got with this girl for like 5 weeks, right? And like during that time, I hit her vape, and I just
Hmm.
kept getting better at it.
Yeah.
But like beforehand, I would have like one hit off of somebody's vape because they told me to, and I would
Hmm.
break into like the worst coughing fit like ever. It
Yeah.
sucked, and
Yeah.
so I never hit vapes. But then like
What
I
was
actually
that
started
while
getting
was
good
that
at it.
while you were smoking?
No.
Okay,
It was
okay, well it's gonna
actually it was. I
okay.
remember like I smoked cigarettes for a while, and I tried to vape a few times, and like it just never got any better. It's like the smog
Yeah.
was so thick, I couldn't like inhale it well enough, and like I just
Right.
coughed it back up, and it sucked. I hated it.
Right.
But while I was getting good at it, like I just like kind of forgot like how it was in the beginning. I still remember obviously, but like
Hmm.
it just got easier, and I didn't worry about it.
Yeah.
You know.
A lot of that's gonna be the nicotine, because I'm pretty sure it's the nicotine that burns,
Hmm.
and that goes away like that. But what I'm talking about is not the nicotine burn. I'm talking about like, oh, you've been vaping for a little while, for like, just kind of chiefing every
Hmm.
so often for like an hour or two, and then you go to work out and you start breathing and there's an ache in your throat. That that's not okay. And I'll tell you, I think that the most likely culprit for that is the inhaler chemical in there. Because I don't know if most people know this, but all vape juice, all vapes, period, carry in them the chemical that's used in inhalers to expand your throat, to expand your breathing passage. All of them.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
It's got the inhaler drug that you're using like constantly. So that's like I don't see how that can be good at all.
Man,
it'd be like taking a numbing agent all the time or something like that. You
speaking
know.
of nicotine, I've been having like pretty bad nicotine withdrawals since I got here
Mhm.
because I smoked with my buddy pretty
Yeah.
much like every day after work.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, I wouldn't even smoke much. Well, after I got with said girl, I started smoking more. So like, we're talking like 3 to 4 cigarettes a day. So
Mhm.
like, that's still not a ton, but it's enough. And
Yeah.
so I was trying to wean myself off before I left, but I was still on like 2 a day.
Mhm.
And man, it's hit me today. It's been like 4 days since I moved here, and like man, it is. I
Yeah.
had like a headache earlier today. I've been trying to fill the gap with caffeine at this point,
Mhm.
but like it can only do so
You
much.
should work out as well. Well, workout will really fill that gap, I think.
Yeah, you're probably right. I've always found that like working out, like we
Because
were
the thing
going
about
on
working
the.
out is it's totally like you're totally consumed in it. Like you can be playing a video game, you can be watching a movie that's engaging, and still like in the back of your head you go, dang, kind of want
This
some
would be pretty
nicotine.
nice with a cigarette.
Exactly. But if you're doing an intense workout, you're all in, you're all focused, and you're not like, oh yeah, something that would uh something that would block my air passage right now would be great. You're not thinking that.
Man, I wish I could breathe less.
Yeah.
I've always found that like running helps like at least feel better about
Mm,
like that kind of stuff.
mhm.
I've been a runner for like ever. I ran in like college. I also smoked in college while I was running, and like never, ever a good idea. Oh, and I mean like we're talking like cross country running. I was running like
Yeah.
5 miles, and I was
Yeah.
also smoking. It
Dang,
was
bro,
not.
5 miles?
I mean, like that's on a good day. The
Yeah.
most I ran, and I was smoking at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, this was like back when I was like just started, I think.
Yeah.
I ran like 13 one day. It was like a
How
full half
fast would you run
marathon.
5 miles?
Oh, I could run it. Well, like you want my like PR?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Give me your PR. Let's
uh,
hear it.
hold on. I actually have a picture of it just to make sure that I'm not,
Ooh.
I'm not capping.
Not capping, bro. Let me get my
Yeah,
water.
bro. I know I took it recently because I was showing off to my buddy. All right. My best 5 mile time was at a 5:47 pace. So total time
Dang.
was 28:49.
Oh yeah, dang.
It was
Yeah.
really hard. That
That's
was a race. That was the
that's
collegiate race.
that's twice as fast as I ran my only 10K ever.
Yeah, but your 10K was 6 miles. 5 miles, okay, to me specifically,
Yeah, it's
five
still
miles
double the
is
pace though. Because
5 miles is
I ran at a
way
10-minute
easier.
pace.
I mean, like my 10K times were so much worse than my 5 mile times.
Really?
Because like in college you did an 8K and then you ran one 10K towards the end of the season.
Like
So
how
like it
bad
was
were the
just
times?
I mean, like there's like it was probably like a 20-second gap. Like I mean, I'd be around like 6:10 or up, you know?
Oh, okay.
Like
I
it
lost
was
my
so
cap.
it's just so much worse. I mean, I wasn't coming at like dead last, but I was coming at like towards the back, which
That makes me
was
feel pretty good at
bad.
myself, having never trained or consistently ran ever in my entire life. I ran
10Ks are just worse,
I
like
ran
straight
a
up.
I ran a 10K in an hour. I feel like it's pretty good.
So my 13
Is that
miles,
pretty good?
I mean, like it's not bad at all. Like I had a friend that was running with me and like he was a pretty heavy smoker and not like not cigarettes. He smoked a lot of weed. And so like he
Mm-hmm.
wanted to get in shape cuz like he wanted to just feel better about himself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd take him running. And like I mean like we'd run like 1 mile and it would take us like 13 minutes. It
Yeah.
was tough. It was
Wow.
hard for him. But like he
Yeah.
got better at it, but again, he didn't stay consistent. It is so
Well,
hard to
also
stay
like
consistent.
I even if I'm not working out, I'm maintaining a decent, honestly, a pretty decent level of fitness compared to most people in the modern world. Not historically speaking by any means, because I'm still sitting
Yeah.
down, like a third of the day,
Mhm.
but because I'm driving. But
Yeah.
otherwise, I'm up, I'm carrying stuff around, I'm moving, I'm walking, and a lot of people aren't a lot of people aren't working that hard, especially out in the heat.
I'm not.
You know what I mean? Like most people like these days are sitting in offices, which you know it's interesting because
I'm sitting
I
at
don't
home.
like I do not want to be like working like physical labor for my life. That's not how I want to be making my money. You know what I mean? I think I
Mhm.
have to turn this light on.
Yeah, you're getting so dark.
This just
Can
does
you?
not look as good.
Yeah, can you just get up and turn on your big light, like your overhead light?
I'm a fan of this. I'll just stay closer. I can't like bring my arms up, I think. I don't know.
Anyway, you don't want to work physically your whole life. What a interesting concept.
Oh dang. I guess I have to turn it on. Or like stay moving.
You're so dark.
Hold on. All right. This is better. Yeah, I mean uh yeah, I still want to like I want to I want the being outside, the working outside of my day to be the fun part. That's what I want,
Hmm.
you know? Yeah.
So you mean you don't want to be fixing pools for work? You want that as a hobby? No, I'm
Yeah.
confused.
No, dude, shut up. You know what I mean.
I actually, so I don't like really what I do much anymore either.
Hmm.
Like I,
Yeah,
I could take it or
you've only been
leave
doing
it.
it for like what, 6 months?
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, I could just take it or leave it. Specifically because I like human like connection.
Yeah, dude, what you're doing is quite unnatural.
And yeah, I feel just unhealthy,
Yeah.
like completely. Um, so like I'm a software developer. I work from home, and like while I do really enjoy solving puzzles, it's just so much. Like I don't use my hands at all to solve them.
Hmm.
All brain work. Like
Yeah.
there's no physical thing to touch or work with besides like the keyboard and the computer,
I
and like
start.
that's just
It's making me
boring.
agitated just thinking about it. To be honest,
It's boring.
it's
Like that's the worst
yeah,
part. Like I love solving puzzles, but the way that I'm doing it isn't what I envisioned, basically.
yeah. I think we're gonna have to like literally our culture is going to have to get good at playing, or we're screwed because because our our entire system, our entire economy, we are trying to mechanize, which I totally agree with. We should have robots doing all manual labor. That is a
Yeah.
future that I would want. To have robots
Hmm.
doing all the manual labor. That'd be great. So we can all
Hmm.
be doing interesting shit all the time.
Yeah, that's what like the slaves were for back in the day, you know? Like
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you want to compare it.
but uh but what that also means is that our work is all gonna be mental. Like we're gonna need
And
more
it's gonna
engineers.
suck.
We need loads of engineers. But to remedy that, we need to be able to play and play physically. If we don't maintain our physicality, yeah, we're screwed. We're screwed
Yeah,
because our emotional states are already a wreck. On a cultural level, our emotional states are a wreck, and
have you been seeing? Oh, sorry.
it's only going to get worse.
I've seen so many headlines. Like, so today is August like 5th, right? I've been seeing so many headlines recently about some of the data for like Alzheimer's was falsified, and like we've been working with it for like 10 years. Like falsified data, like for developing like medicine and stuff for Alzheimer's, like patients was like the data they used was screwed, and so like for like 10 years we've been like spinning our hand or like sitting on our hand. It's so strange,
In
and I've
what
been
way?
also
How was it? In
let
what way
me
was it
let me
screwed?
let me look it up.
Okay, but I'll tell you this, that and this relates to uh, when we were talking about addiction. Our culture, not only does it need to, but I think it's looking very likely that we will highly integrate entheogens back into the broader culture. And I think if we don't, we're probably screwed.
Maybe it was. I don't know. I'm gonna try and find it. I mean, I probably can't, but
Because
I'll try.
there's like, I'm telling you, man, if you if you want good psychotherapy, go do a psychotherapeutic session with the mushroom, and you will go places that you do not want to go, but you need to be a good human being, period. And there's no escape. That's the great thing. That's why I love mushrooms. And it's not like I do them once a year. I do mushrooms once a year, literally. That's the other reason why I love them, is because not only are they not addictive, they're the opposite of addictive. They are like, I have to really hype myself up and like, okay, we're going back in. Like, we're going to the fucking underworld, baby. Because it's scary. It's scary to do because, I mean, for a lot of reasons. But if we're gonna make it, we have to reintegrate them into our culture, because they will harden you in a real way that is necessary for our survival. Because you can't be one of these people who is like triggered by things. Like, nothing should ever trigger you. If you're triggered by something, you have a mental problem that you need to fix. I don't care what it is. And the reason for that is that anything can happen in this world. And if you're not prepared for anything, you're going to be screwed when it happens. So this idea of being triggered by stuff and that being okay is not okay. And not in my book, at least. You know,
I
like
found
like
that.
obvious. I'm not like condemning people necessarily. Uh, I understand that, people have like PTSD. You can give rats PTSD and they will have triggers. But those rats are now useless. And you can fix it. You can always fix it. Always. And one of the tools for that is entheogens, because if you have something that haunts you,
I
you
found
will
the I found
face
the
it.
article. I want
Let's
to
hear
point
it.
this out
Let's
before
hear
we
it.
get too
Yeah.
far. I put it's a science.org article. I like am skimming it right now, but apparently a guy has like found flaws in the like I don't know, a guy under the name of Scrag, Schrag.
Scrag.
He's
Scrug.
he's he's apparently an up and coming scientist. I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah.
his last
He's
name. They're
probably
just
from
referencing him.
Iceland, or worse,
So
Greenland.
he's just poking holes in like foundational like document. I think
Yeah.
I it, you guys can find it pretty easily if you want to.
Hmm. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
the
if
headline
anybody
spoke
ever
for
listens
itself.
to this, I'm gonna repeat this a million times. Go listen to Paul. If you don't believe me, go listen to Paul Stamets. I don't have any proof of this, obviously, but it's not gonna hurt if you or a loved one have dementia or have growing dementia. Take lion's mane mushroom. It's not gonna affect your consciousness in any way. It's not a mental drug, but there is evidence that it cures dementia straight up. I'm not saying it's I don't know what studies have been done since then. It was a long time since those rat studies were done. I haven't done any research into it recently, so I don't think it's conclusive necessarily, but it can't hurt you.
Yeah, I wonder if
Go take lion's mane, and also consider taking some microdoses of psilocybin as well if you have access. There's good evidence that it'll straight up cure dementia. Like, I'll be explicit about it. We're talking about pouring acid on rats' brains and then having them exhibit dementia-like behaviors where they don't the amount of interactions they have with a given toy compared to a non-acid dipped brained rat is like 10% of the norm, and they end up being really depressed, all this stuff. It's Alzheimer's like behavior. And then they feed a subset of them lion's mane over a few months, maybe a year period. I don't know how long it is. I don't know how long rats live. So that's just a testament to my ignorance on the subject. But go look up Paul Stamets. He'll tell you all about it. But so they give it to a subset of the rats, then they kill them all, and they look at all their brains. Oh, sorry. Before they kill them, the behavior goes back to mostly normal. Not completely. They go back to like 80% of like how many interactions they have with a given toy.
Okay.
So it's not like they were getting old and bored of toys. It's not what happened, because after the lion's mane, their behavior
Went back to
returned.
playing.
Yes, and the way they examined this was they literally counted how many times it touched a toy. Like they counted how many times it touched it. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, so the rats they gave the lion's mane to returned to mostly normal behavior, like 80%. And then they killed them all, and they looked at all their brains, or they killed a subset of them, whatever. And they looked at the brains, and the brains that had the acid injected into them had what they call amyloid plaques covering their receptors, all in their brain. So it makes it to where the receptors cannot communicate nearly as well. Because there's just less action going on in the brain all over from the acid. But in the lion's mane mice, it was mostly clean. The lion's mane cleaned the brain receptors of the plaque. That's what it did in a rat's brain. If it does it in a rat's brain, it will do it in ours. So if you have dementia, please go take lion's mane. Do it.
Our audience is like 80-year-old men.
Or if you have a loved one, that's something I'm worried about. Like, my grandparents are getting old, so it's something I'm worried about.
I was actually going to bring that exact point up. I have one grandparent remaining, and her brain isn't necessarily failing her. It's just like she's like forgetting some stuff. That's like it's worrisome, right? But like it's not like it doesn't feel like dementia yet. You know what I mean? It just feels like old person forgetfulness. And I don't know when she'll cross the line into like this is really bad.
Oh, there's a great video that explains precisely how you can tell. I'll send it over to you. Talk while I'm doing this.
Okay, sure. I wish I had something to free up my brain, honestly. Like, it's not that I feel cloudy sometimes. It's that, like, it's so fast. I feel like I can't focus on a lot of things. And I know we've talked about eye contact, or not necessarily eye contact, but focusing your eyes is the first step in focus.
Uh-huh.
And, like, I don't know. I just find I it's so easy to be distracted by literally anything, even a noise. Like,
Oh,
I
really?
think I have a lack of self control.
Well,
Oh,
well, well, well. Look, um, you being having your attention pulled away by something is not something to get upset about. What you want to do is when your attention does get pulled away by something, you recognize what the thing is, you categorize it in a second, and then return your attention back to what you were doing.
that that makes sense.
Because
I thought of
it
something that
doesn't
I
matter
wanted
what you're
to.
doing, your attention will get drawn to things because you're a human being that is mortal and that can die. That's why. That's the main reason. You can die. So you are constantly aware of anything that enters into your conscious space. So a noise, a quick movement in your vision, whatever it is, it's going
I
to draw
used
your attention. You cannot control that. But what you do is you recognize whatever the thing is, and then you go back,
mhm.
and that's how
I used to
that's how you train
actually.
your attention.
This is interesting, and it's like talking on the survival instinct thing, like the noise, right? I used to not be able to wear two headphones at the same time, especially if I was listening to like semi loud music, because like I just couldn't handle it. Like I felt I know anxiety. That's just exactly what it felt like. As soon as I put it on, I had no idea if someone was coming in my room. Like I
Hmm.
live with like my parent. Like obviously I'm pretty young, so I say obviously I'm like 23. So I lived with my parents for a while, right? And they're pretty strict parents. They're good parents. Don't get me wrong, but just pretty strict. So like if I ever had my headphones, I couldn't hear them like walk in, and like that bothered me just a lot. And so like
Hmm.
I just haven't hardly ever been able to put two pairs of headphones in at the same time,
Hmm.
like hardly ever. It's always been something that I've like not necessarily struggled with, but like you know
Man,
been
yeah, that's
cognizant
a
of.
that's a real that's a real hard situation. I'm sorry you have to go through that.
I don't know. It's hard.
I think
It's
you should
just
go to
something that I
therapy for
think it's
that.
funny. I just think it's something that's funny.
I think you need to call a therapist, man. That's
I've actually gone to therapy before,
yeah. How was it?
like twice. It
I'm not
was
against therapy, by the way. I'm just making a
yeah,
joke.
no, I know, I know, but like I just felt like I should bring it up because that's
Yeah.
kind of how the conversation was
No, I
flowing.
didn't know that.
Um, so I had a dream, right? And it really, really bothered me. I had fallen asleep after turning my alarm because I had gone and ran in the morning and then I went back to sleep. And so my roommate walked back in. And all the while, all this was happening, I was dreaming and I was under the covers. Another slightly important thing. While I was dreaming that I was in a pool, right? And like that was all well and fine. But then something like weird happened in the pool and I was like, oh, I got to come up for air. And I had stopped breathing in real life. And so I had woken up, but I had lost the like ability to breathe in. And I was sitting there under my covers, like panicking because I couldn't breathe at all. And I just kept panicking. And it felt like I was like stun locked, basically. Like I was just kind of locked in place. And I was just sitting there like with my eyes open under the covers. And then my roommate walks in the door and I'm like suddenly I'm like, ugh, and like I'm breathing super hard and like I was super scared, but like obviously I didn't want to like throw it out of proportion. So I was just like, I'm gonna go to therapy because I had I had no other clue of what to do. Because like that shit, like imagine passing away in your sleep at 22 years old. You know, like that's what it felt like was going to happen. And then my roommate walked in the door, and I was like, oh my god, thank God. I don't know, it was disgusting and really awful. And I didn't have another dream similar, but I went twice because the first, well, actually, I might have had something similar happen again, and then I went the second time. But like, I remember the first time it wasn't super helpful, but like this was because I was on a college campus and I went to the college therapy person and like it was free and like she gave me papers and stuff, but like we didn't get too deep into anything. Like it felt like it wasn't very personal. It felt very professional, if that makes sense. So like it didn't feel like I thought therapy should, but at the same
Hmm.
time I was okay with that. I read
She
the
was just
papers
like
that she
trying to
gave
like
me.
diagnose something.
It didn't even feel necessarily like that. She didn't ask me a lot of questions. She asked me what happened, and like,
Trying to make sure you
that's
weren't like in danger or something.
that's pretty much I think how she scoped it out.
Yeah. Wait, and so then you went to real therapy after that?
Nope, I went back the
Just to
second
her?
time. Yeah, like because I didn't have any money while I was in college. I was
Yeah.
super broke, and I
Yeah.
didn't want to bug my parents about therapy.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm from a very Western family, so like we're pretty like you know mental health issues. It's not that they don't exist; it's that they're not super important. They're not super serious, right?
Mhm.
So like I don't want to bug my dad or my mom about it because my mom would probably overreact, but my dad would think I'm being really dumb, and
Yeah.
like I just didn't want to deal with that whenever I came home for like Thanksgiving.
Mhm. Yeah, I
So
mean, I
free therapy
I
it
think
was.
the reason I think the reason it's still taboo for a lot of people
Mhm.
is because, and this is something I haven't really thought about before, so I'm
It'll come out fresh.
I'm experimenting here with
Mhm.
this idea. But I'm wondering if it's because you want to be your own hero. Like we want to deal with our own problems.
That makes
And
sense.
and and even if you do have like a psychological problem, typically like we've gone to our parents. But now instead of going and talking to our parents or our friends, we go pay someone who doesn't know us. And that's weird. It really is weird, like historically
hmm
speaking. But I mean, then again, you also have like confession. Like really,
Yeah,
really, like therapy is really just an evolution from Catholic confession. That's really what it is. Um,
it's just confession for non-religious people.
yeah, pretty. I mean, pretty much. I mean, obviously, they differ in numerous and serious ways. Like,
hmm The
I
therapist
mean,
isn't going to forgive you.
I mean, therapy is derivative of like, from what I can tell, historically speaking, it's derivative of confession, but it's become largely the opposite of confession, where confession is like, hey, I'm a sinner, I've committed these sins, what should I do to fix this?
Reconcile.
The therapy is often, what have other people done for you that can ameliorate your that can remove your responsibility, so that way you can
Yeah,
be more relaxed because, oh, it's not my fault, I'm a piece of shit. I'm just a piece of shit because my parents were good parents. That's
that
one of the
yeah,
most, I
I
hate
see.
that. I'm like, I have a deep interest in psychology, and I've read a good amount
Mhm.
of of some good psychologists. Not that I can recall their stuff very well. I mean, I think that's something that a lot of us need to know, is that if you really want to be familiar with a material, you really should read it twice at least. It's still, reading it once still has
Yeah,
value,
value.
but if you want to be able to use any sort of knowledge like a blade, like a sharpened tool, you need to read it twice at least. But anyway, when it comes to therapy, it really bothers me how much of it is specifically designed to alleviate people's responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
You know, exactly what I was saying of like, you know, oh, well, I'm this way because my father was like this, and you know, I think that does have some value, but not a lot, and from what I can tell, like, you know, I have come to the realization precisely what my parents did in raising me that was suboptimal. My parents were still fantastic. Like, I I grew up knowing that I had better parents than most other people. And the reason was because it was the reason it was so obvious was because I was given so much freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I was given a remarkable amount of freedom. I didn't know anyone else's kids or parents when I was growing up that were given as much freedom as I was. I didn't know anyone else's.
Mm-hmm. I
And
think some.
that instilled in me a lot of self reliability.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the suboptimal part was with the freedom came a total lack of discipline. I was not disciplined. Now, the important bit is that doesn't really help me at all, knowing that. What I need to know is what am I doing right now? What are my behavior patterns that need to be fixed, need to be addressed?
Mm-hmm.
That's
I feel
that's
like
what I'm lacking in discipline.
I
Like thinking about what my parents did to raise me is a waste of fucking time. It's a complete waste of time. I need to be going and like trying and working on being more disciplined.
hang on,
That's
hang
what I
on,
need to do.
hang on. But you discovered, not that you discovered, but you like realized that your lack of discipline like was because of your upbringing, right? So if you analyze your upbringing, you can then learn what you're lacking, right? So like I don't think that there's no value. I think that saying no values isn't quite correct because if you're like, man, I had a lot of freedom, what's like, I wonder what I'm lacking, and like you come to this like discovery of I need more discipline or whatever it may be. Like that still
Uh,
has value
I
because then you can work on gaining discipline.
well, I'll tell you. I do agree to a degree, and I agree in this scenario in which you have a problem, but you don't know that it's a problem.
Hmm.
So, like, if you take my example, and I am uh having a bad time of it. I'm depressed, right? And I go to a psychotherapist, and he goes, "Well, you know, what's wrong?" And I go, "I don't know. I don't know what's wrong. I'm an idiot.
I
I
have no
don't
idea.
like I'm one of these modern people who doesn't try to educate themselves at all. So I have no idea what's wrong with me. Please help. I'm gonna pay you $500 an hour." And he goes, "Okay, well, tell me what your childhood was like." And I go, "Oh well, you know, I pretty much played video games constantly, any chance I could get." And then the therapist goes, "Oh, if you didn't know this, that's not normal." And I go, "What? That's not
Huh?
normal? I should be like learning things and gaining skills? Huh, I shouldn't be sitting down in front of a screen all day, every day? Really? Hmm. Yeah, I didn't know that." I think that's what that use can be. You know what I mean? Is
Mm.
going, "Oh yeah, the way you think life is because someone raised you to think that's the way life is, and that's not the way life is. So, hey dude, turns out that, you know, I know your parents raised you to play video games constantly, but you can't do that unless you want to keep suffering like you are. You can't." And so I think that's the value that I can see in it.
Well, that's pretty much what I was talking about. Like if someone doesn't know how to
Right.
like analyze like problems that they have, because like self analysis can be hard if like you
Right.
don't know
But most of
what
us
you're
know
doing
what
wrong.
here's the thing is most of us know what our
Yeah, yeah.
problems are. Most of us know what our
Dude, like
problems are. Now, well, I don't know. I've met some people that
that don't, right? Like
yeah,
they're like, oh man, I just feel so bad, but I don't know why. And they
yeah,
like go to the doctor, you know? Like
yeah. You gotta
they
get
go to the
that's true.
psychologist, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. But
I mean,
I tend to think like it's just a weird avenue. I feel like
and
why not just say oh that behavior pattern you're doing is suboptimal. Why not just go there? Why do you have to get the parents involved? And the reason this is weird to me, the reason I don't like it is because it's a is abdication the right word for that? An abdication of responsibility?
you know, I'm not sure. I don't use big words very often.
These definitions
You
are
having a
so
hard
are
time?
these definitions are cyclical. Okay, yes, abdicate is the right word. Perfect. So, yeah, it abdicates responsibility because they're like, oh, it's my parents' fault, and so like I don't need to, like I am the way I am because of this, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I'm not saying all like therapists say there's nothing you can do about it, but it's part of the
Mm-hmm.
like aesthetic that like oh it's my parents' fault.
Mm-hmm. It's
That
my
like
previous
why else
trauma.
why else would you bring them up if the point is not to blame them?
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
I'm not saying that parents aren't responsible. Parents are responsible. But as an individual who is trying to address their own problems, putting responsibility for your life onto your parents is a waste of time. It's a complete waste of time. It's not helpful. So that's what else? I thought I had another idea. Let me think.
Let me figure it out.
Yeah, you're engaging in this story, right? And this is something to think about when it comes to narratives. Is human beings need might be a strong word, but we need narratives. We need grand narratives that structure reality to some degree. And so it can be very meaningful to engage in a grand narrative, especially if you don't have one or if you're suffering there's adventure in exploring a new grand narrative. So people will engage in this grand narrative of your character was like who you are was created out of what your parents did, and there's this whole story of like oh there's all these problems that your parents created that now you have to go and fix, and it's this long process of like oh I need to sit with this, and I need to go talk to my parents about it, and I need to go address them and try to get them to apologize, and
I
like
cannot
all of this,
imagine trying to make my parents apologize for raising me. You know what I
which
mean?
like don't get me wrong, I have done that. So don't get me wrong, I have done that. However, they have not apologized. I don't care. I said what I had to say, and I left it at that. And
Hmm.
like if they said what most parents are gonna say, like I did the best I could, which like I know that's not the point though. And like so I'm being somewhat hypocritical here, that I do get it that there is some value, there is some catharsis in doing things like that. But the reason it's cathartic is because you're growing and you're confronting the problem. You know, you're saying this is a problem, and I think you made a mistake, whatever, and then you move on. But I'm not even sure that what I did was good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not convinced of that. I do know that I was experiencing a lot of and this is something to remember as well. If any sort of like emotion or thought or fantasy is entering your mind on a regular basis, you need to address it. You need to do something with it. Otherwise, like, it's just going to get worse. It's some dragon that has presented itself that you need to slay. So I kept thoughts of my parents kept entering my mind, and I kept feeling resentment for them.
Mhm.
And that's a waste of time. I can't be spending my time resenting my parents. It's not helpful. It's a waste of time. I have way more important stuff I need to be doing. But it kept coming up. I couldn't just say, "Oh, I can't." Like, I'm not gonna do that. Because we're not the rulers of our own castle in our mind.
Yeah.
So
You
I
can't dictate what you're thinking about all the time.
exactly. You can't exactly. That's the right word.
That's why I've thought about.
You can't dictate it. So what I did was I was like, I called up my parents individually, and I said, "Hey, look, I love you. I'm not interested in damaging our relationship, but I keep experiencing deep resentment for you. That doesn't mean I don't love you. I can love you and resent you at the same time." A lot of people don't know that, and a lot of people really fucking need to know that. You will resent your loved ones. And that doesn't mean you don't love them. It means you have to address something. So I really resent you guys for this reason. And then we have a conversation about it. They go, "Oh, well, like, I don't want you well, my mom's weird." She goes, "You can resent me. I don't care. I still love you." Like, that's like, okay, whatever. But yeah, basic. Long story short, we have a conversation. Both of them disagree with me. They go, "Oh no, like we did our best, and you were disciplined just fine," which is not true. And like, I'm not gonna apologize. Fine, whatever. I got it. I got it out there, and now it doesn't matter. This is the thing it reminds me of agape. That is what's the word? Giving love unneedingly, or just giving to the world without needing anything in return. Is what it reminds me of. Is that I had to just like there was something in me that just that had to come out. Sounds like hippy dippy, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But once I said, "Hey, look, guys, I resent you," then that's really all that was really needed. It's not like our relationship is perfect now. I mean, you're talking about trying to maintain a positive relationship with people that you're not like at all, especially in the modern world. Because back in the day, like people had great, pretty good relationships with their parents because they were so much alike. Because you grew up in a village that your great grandparent built, after his dad left the old one that was the exact same village, just in a different location, and you guys lived the same lives and dealt with the same stuff. So like it was all cool, but now like we're living completely different lives, you know. So I'm very much unlike my parents. So
Yeah,
you know,
I'm.
I'm friends with you because we have a lot of similarities, right?
I don't think that's true.
We have similar. No, it is true. We have similar interests. We have very similar interests, and so that that's part of the reason why we are friends. And so you're talking about trying to maintain a relationship that with people that are foreigners in a lot of ways. Um, and so that's hard.
No, yeah, I totally agree. I feel like me and my parents are vastly different.
Yeah.
And I think it has to do with like not necessarily how I was raised, but like I have siblings that like I kind of bounced my personalities off of. Like back way back in the day, my brother was pretty mean. Like he's a lot nicer now. Great guy. But back in the day, he was kind of a bully because that's like what he was facing at school. And so like he kind of brought it home with him. And my sister was like a really great friend. She was like my best friend until like she got into middle school. And so like I didn't want to be my father and I didn't want to be my brother. And so I turned to like my mom and my sister and I was like, I'd like to be like them. But I knew what it meant to like be masculine too. Like, I knew like at the time, like, right, I still got hammered into my head of like, keep your feelings duller, keep them like you can feel stuff, just like, feel it, move on. And so like, I feel like I developed a really great like mentality towards it, but then I still kept like my mom and my sister's like nicer side. So like, I'm more akin to my mom, but like I still feel like I'm not as like strict as she is. Like I just feel a little looser, and like I make my own decisions really well. I don't know. I think it helped me a lot to grow up with siblings. Essentially, like just to have like someone to like base what I wanted. I remember thinking of myself when I was really young. My brother had just picked on me quite a bit that day. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't want to be like that when I grow up. Like that was like a big thought and I was like 6. So like, it just stuck for a long
Yeah.
time.
It's interesting how very small, small experiences leave lasting impressions when you're quite young.
Yeah. He probably just called me like dumb or ugly.
Yeah. 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 Don't get me don't get me wrong. There is value to be found in searching and mapping out your past, but that's really the main thing is how do I get this story straight so I know where I am, so there is that when it comes to talking about like how one's parents raised them is, and just to rehash that one more time and put it another way, is once you know the story, you know where you are. And once you know where you are, you have a much better idea as to where to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we got to keep some stuff to talk about next time. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. We're going to have to start a tutorial on UiPath.
On UiPath?
That's how, yeah, that's what I work with. That's the software I develop.
Okay. Nice.
We'll have to teach the viewers.
All right. Farewell, folks.